I'm Carol Duncan. I'm a mature postgrad student on the Master's Social Work course at Sheffield. I started in September 2011, so nearly at the end of the second year, and will be qualifying in a couple of months. I'm on placement. I'm 2/3 of the way through the final placement. It's getting very busy. They're racking it up. So I'm experiencing a lot of different things. Even this morning, I've just come from placement. I rang the police, I rang the children's service, I rang a care home, and I rang customers. So it's a very broad experience. It's a good experience, but I'm learning fast, and I think that's what you want at the end of your placement. Three reasons probably. One, I graduated here in the late 80s, so I've got a fondness for it. We then came back to live here and I have my family here, so that's the obvious choice. But also it's a very highly rated course, and I think that encouraged me, that I was lucky to live in a city that has such a good social work course, so obviously I was going to try and come here. I like Sheffield University, the way it's laid out. You've got the sports centre and the university learning places and the library or information commons all in one area. I think it makes it really good when you're coming to lectures. You can pop for a swim or play football. There's plenty of resources in the information commons. I found when I was doing dissertation that it was very well supplied with electronic as well as reading books, and you can, for the dissertation, you are allowed to borrow a book from different sources. So yeah, I think in terms of resources and learning, it's a great place. I like them. That's good, isn't it? I do like them. They're very different. Most of the staff have been social workers, but not all. Some are sort of very involved in research as well as maybe having been social workers. That's quite good. You get quite a range of sort of skills and learning and experience. It's a very friendly university. I found that even at interview, they weren't there to intimidate you. I don't think that's a particularly good thing to do to candidates. They were very encouraging, and I think everyone gets the support they need. But as a sort of mature student, postgrad, you do need to go and ask for it. It's not given to you. You have to find what suits you. When I was 22, which is a while ago, I actually said to my school friends, "Oh, I'm going to go and be a social worker." And for some reason, I left it a good 20 years after that. Something that I thought about. Maybe I felt a bit young at the time, but I'm not saying that other people are too young. Also a little bit to do with, I managed to get a job in social services when I came to Sheffield, and I think that's when I sort of thought, oh, I could think about being a social worker again. But yeah, I think people had said to me, have you thought about it? And it's something that had been on my mind a long, long time, and I think I was waiting for the opportunity, really. I needed some space in my life to do it. It is a demanding course, so I just enjoy the challenge of it, working with people who've got needs and trying to work alongside them. A lot. I realised how much I didn't know. I thought social work was a certain sort of thing because I'd worked in social services and I'd worked in adult disabilities. I had a very sort of good but fairly narrow experience of it. I didn't really understand the broader aspect. I didn't know very much about the law at all. And I have to say the legal side of things is really important in social work. It's something that I've learned hugely. I didn't realise how important social work is in one way. And sometimes I say to people, you can see social work when it's not happening, because you can see the result of people not engaging correctly with people and providing the right things. So it's almost a kind of difficult thing to define, but you know when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and yeah, it's really good. Enjoy it. It's very easy to understand what you're meant to be doing at what time. It is very structured, as in you're at university several months, and that's quite fun because it's kind of the easier bit, because you've got your friends and you've got to work hard, and there is some studying obviously to do in your own time, but it's quite clearly laid out with assignments, especially in the first term. They get you into assignments quite quickly, and there's a kind of pace that goes. And then suddenly you don't see your friends, you're on placement and you're working, and so you get two kind of experiences in 1 year, really. I think it's a good structure. Some people would like the placement to be integrated with the learning, but it would just be too complicated. I think it is quite difficult to set placements up, and to integrate them would be a fair challenge. So I like the structure, and you have definite parts where it's easier. I'm right in the middle of the worst part at the minute, the most hardest. So, and then you have a dissertation sort of at the end of the first year before the second, well, into the second year, and that's a massive challenge. I think most people enjoyed it, but my advice is start early and do something you're very interested in, and you'll get through it fine. The first year has more lectures, and we did have smaller seminar groups. The second year they have, because they want to get you talking, presenting your ideas, they have much more emphasis on seminar learning, which in some ways is harder because you don't come away with your notes and you're not sure exactly what you learnt, but you probably learnt more than you realise, and you're learning by communicating with people and maybe picking up other ideas and learning how to deal with conflict as well and difference of opinion with respecting the other person. So, and also reading quite a lot of in-depth articles in the year two, which in year one you don't do so much. It's a little bit more like you have your social work law book and you have your other sorts of values and ethics books, and it's a little bit less discussion. You get a tutor and a fairly small tutorial group who you meet very early on in the course, and then you can access that tutor as much as you like by email, or they'll meet with you, book a time. I would say you can get a lot of support if you need it, or I personally haven't chosen to have a lot, but I'm probably different, but it's there if you want it. And we also support each other a lot, the students, really good support network. I'm sure every year of students finds that. We learn a lot from each other, and we have, it's a big part of our learning actually. I get the feeling that, I think they all do, but my tutor enjoys what he does and enjoys seeing us grow. You kind of feel in the first year a little bit protected, and that's quite nice. In the second year, you're on your feet a bit more. But no, I think the tutors are very good and very helpful. Interesting question. The teaching definitely gives you the kind of foundation, but sometimes you're sitting in lectures thinking, I don't really understand how you do a mental capacity assessment, I don't really understand how a safeguarding process works. So it's always a little bit theoretical, but you need it, because when you're on placement you suddenly find you might be talking to someone with dementia, you realise they may not have capacity, you're wondering how you're going to help make a decision with them, and you draw on that learning very quickly. Some of the learning was outside of the experience you have in placement. It's bound to be, because you're covering a broad subject with the learning. But it's nice to know it's there. I'm aware of the Mental Health Act and the Children's Act, and although I'm not using them very directly in my work, I need to know about them. My dissertation, I was told by someone who'd done this course, for goodness sake, do something you're interested in, because by the end of it you will have had enough of whatever you choose, which is true. And I was interested in the spiritual side of people's welfare, and I linked that to older people and did quite an in-depth study on spirituality and older people in social work, which might sound a bit difficult to understand what that is, but actually, because you read articles and research that's been peer-reviewed, you do read very high quality work, and you can extract a lot of information from that. And it's a challenge, but I did get guidance quite a lot early on to make sure that was okay. But the variety of what people chose in dissertation is enormous, and that's one of the great things. You could see where everybody's interests lie, all very different sorts of things. I enjoyed it. I had enough of it by the end, like everybody. But I would say that for me, I had to work slowly and really build it up. Other people may have not spent so long and done it quicker, but I enjoyed actually just the reading around before deciding what was being said by the research, making my own conclusions. So it's a big part of the course, dissertation. Yes, I understand a lot more about social work, and I think it obviously gives you the chance to be a social worker if you're lucky enough to get a position. But I think you can use this course, this qualification, this experience for a wide variety of things. I think that's something that I haven't looked at yet because I'm still on the course, but I think I've no hesitation that it prepares you very well for work. It's a very respected course and qualification. Find someone who's done the course, because I think they can really tell you what it's like. Some people come on the course and found it very different to what they thought. I think I had a fairly good idea, as I had a friend who's done the course and I've worked with social workers. But by all means, yeah, research as much as you can. Also, on the university websites, they are all different and they have different research sort of emphasis. And I think that really does impact on the course a little bit, because you're going to get those lecturers bringing that research into the course. So if you're particularly interested in one particular thing like children, you'd be best to go to a university that's got research strength in that, if you can. And I think, yeah, just finding out what you can from other people, and actually contact the university as well. Sheffield were very helpful. I hope to get a job in statutory social work with older people. There are a couple of opportunities around. It is very competitive, as we said. But yes, I will hopefully do that. I'm prepared to work for agency. I don't mind working for agency just to get that experience straight away.